Kyle, thank you so much for coming on the Winner's Paradigm podcast, brother. It's an honor getting you on this side of the mic. I've been following you for a hot minute on Instagram and seeing all the fucking amazing things you're doing. And I'm like, bro, I need to step my game up. So you made me go harder. Seeing another Marine do some hard shit. So before we jam in today, and I keep giving you more high praise, would you mind giving us a brief intro of who you are, what you're passionate about today, brother?
Yeah, so my name is Kyle Perry. I own Perry's Powerhouse Fitness, and my motto is making men better and strong again through destroying their vices and excuses. Because at one point in time, I also had a lot of vices and excuses, especially when you get out of the military and you don't have to do anything anymore. You can live life how you want to. It's easy to not be disciplined anymore because no one around you is disciplined. And I climbed up really high into the corporate world. I got lazy. I drank and ate a bunch of food like everyone else in the corporate world. And then I found myself at almost 300 pounds. I still worked out every day. So I did still have a lot of muscle. I always like to tell people that first when they see my transformation, because I didn't build all that muscle while I was cutting. I had a lot of it there. But now my goal is just to teach men, fathers, veterans, anybody that has lost their discipline, how to just get control of their life again. Because if I can do it, anyone can do it. I have a very addictive personality. I was eating and drinking like almost every night. I would drink a 24 pack of beer. That was relatively within like the last couple of years. That's how, but I worked my way up there, and that's how a lot of people are in society. They work their way there, and then one day they look in the mirror and they're like, "Holy shit, I lost myself." So I just try to teach people how to find themselves again. Really, how I found myself.
Hell yeah, brother. And while you're talking, I'm over here giving you a shout out on Instagram. So I appreciate you, bro. Bro, it's awesome seeing you do all that. And I can resonate deeply with that because that was something for me, got out the Marine Corps. I had a bunch of injuries. It's funny is I tore all the cartilage in my right knee and they were telling me that it's chronic knee pain and suck it the fuck up. And, here's some Motrin. And then I had arthroscopic surgery and they're like, oh shit, you actually do have cartilage missing. And I was telling them after that, like I'm getting really bad joint pain. And I'm like, bro, I'm throwing up every morning. I'm getting migraines. So last 3 weeks, get out the Marine Corps and then did the same thing. I did was going to school, using my GI Bill, fucking working 18-hour days, doing home improvement sales, straight commission, 7 G's 1 month, nothing for 2 months. And then we had a miscarriage. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go into real estate. I'm going to be a mortgage broker. Failed my test 3 times because I'm going to school, starting a family, working my ass off, and did the same thing. My grandfather passed away. I was eating 1,000 milligram edibles because the only thing I was finding was cannabis was able to help me. But the problem was you need to dial it in. So I didn't do that. I was going through some deep pain, packed on weight, got up to 235. And then same deal, is I was always in the gym. It's just my nutrition wasn't on point. And then from there, I started building that physique slowly of 220, 225. I found myself. And then really this year, I was about to lose everything in January. Me and the wife were about to split. And I was just like, I had a dream of me dying. And I was like, you know what? I need to kick this in the next gear. So 235 beginning of the year, now 194. Made a dog shit bet about getting a 6-pack by the end of the year. And I'm pushing myself harder than ever, getting up at 2 a.m, going to the gym because I take care of my 2-year-old, 8-month-old. So I love the way that you said that too, is like you're a parent and you're showing veterans, what it looks like to transition, but more importantly, build that life that's important to you. And I think that's one thing I want to start at, brother. It's like, when we talked about it, even in the midst of the struggle, we still had that discipline to be in the gym. We didn't have the discipline for what was going in our mouth. I also was drinking a gallon of whiskey back in my Marine Corps days, and it was really fucking up my life. And I didn't really realize that until I got sober. So for you, when you went, you seen these vices, you came to grasp with them and understood that, hey, I need to eliminate this shit so I can be the best husband, best dad I can be. What was that impact on your life, brother?
So I have a similar story to you. I have really bad back issues from the military, and they told me there was nothing wrong. And then it unaligned my whole body pretty much, and now I have no cartilage in either one of my knees. I have permanent shin splits pretty much, and I have torn tendons in both of my feet. But it all started with my back, that they said there was nothing wrong. And I come to find out I have a lot of back issues that when I went to a real doctor when I got out. But that was one of the reasons I started making excuses to get like out of shape. It's like, oh, it's my back. Oh, it's my back. You know how everyone is. And I have 2 really major impactful stories that impacted my life that made me want to find sobriety forever. And the first one was I had already quit drinking for like 6-7 months. I was already because I was still on a weight loss journey. I just wasn't on a 100% sobriety journey yet. So we go to Miami, we go on a cruise. My best friend brings his friends, which I already knew them. I never had a problem with them. I've actually helped them move before. They got drunk. They were also in the military. The girl has a little bit of PTSD, so when she gets drunk, she acts crazy. Well, she kept talking shit to my wife over and over and over again. Like she gets drunk and she just accuses people of weird shit. She said that my wife was hitting on her husband, and she was just. And my wife was with me the whole night, so like she was just drunk after acting obnoxious. So I'm like, I'm leaving the bar. I don't want anything to do with this. I leave. Well, they come back to the Airbnb and they're still like screaming, starting arguments, and I'm like, if you don't leave my wife alone, I'm gonna smack the fuck out of your husband. Long story short, I smacked this dude. I like hit his head into the wall. He has an indentation in his head. So like the next day we go on this cruise ship and they're all on the cruise ship with us. And the cruise ship and like alerts us like, hey, there's an emergency. Someone has internal bleeding. We have to turn around immediately. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, like it's this dude. Like I'm going to prison for the rest of my life. Thank God it wasn't him. I saw him like an hour later. But that right there, just that moment of like, this is probably the last bullet I'm ever going to dodge because I've dodged a lot in my life. It really woke me up. And that was the time where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get sober for good. Because the only reason I drank, my wife was like, well, we already bought these drink packages. Let's just start drinking and then we'll stop again. But I can't do that, bro. Like when I start drinking, I go down this crazy path and I can't control my anger anymore. Like I'm a very angry person by nature, but I can control it when I'm sober. But when I'm drunk, it's not great. And, then like 2 months later, I had already quit drinking. We were at Sam's Club. My daughter looked at the Fireball and she said, wow, Dad, that's your favorite drink. And then like my daughter should never know some stuff like that. And that was when I was really like, yeah, I'm never drinking again. And I haven't drank since. Like I decided in Miami not to drink anymore when we got back from that cruise. But after that, that was like what solidified it for me.
How long ago was that, brother?
So I like my last drink. I don't track the actual days because I don't believe in that really. I think it's just a way to like keep reminding yourself. I just know it was sometime in April I quit altogether.
Hell yeah, brother. And respect right there. You know, I'm the same way. Actually, I was talking to one of my boys, Jesus Mejia, yesterday as we did an in-person interview. And I was the same fucking way. Like I would be drinking and I'd be straight, you know, normally I can handle my business, but somebody would just be bitching and just fucking whining. And I'm like, dude, I just want to slap the shit out of this motherfucker. And it's just like you have these thoughts. And normally that's how I am. Like I'm operating, you know, I wake up at 2 a.m. and I'm doing all this shit. So it's like I focus on my internal dialogue and I'm always screaming at myself, pushing myself. And I noticed like when I was drinking, I just didn't give a fuck. Like I would just be like, hey, bro, stop being a fucking bitch. And everybody's mad at me. And funny thing is like I went, me and my wife, we're together. So I was around her family and her sister was talking and her sister's just completely different personality than me. She's one of those bubbly, oh my God, yes, queen. And I can't fucking handle it. It's too much for me, you know? So sometimes I get overstimulated and I'm drinking and she's like, are you going to stay in the Marine Corps? And I was very pissed off because I was so fucking injured. And to sum that up too, I was my own boss at 19. So deployed to Kuwait, came back. I ran the aviation operations department for the Ospreys. So in a training department, so was an ops chief, E6 position as an E4, and came back, meritorious sergeant board, was going to pick up and win that shit. And then I got injured. Sergeant major was like, nope, pulling you off. So after that, they were telling me I'm a bad Marine. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm a corporal. I run this shit. I have a black belt at McMap. I had my package in to go to the MCRD to be an instructor, then have a recruiting package in. And was going to get a bonus. So I'm all in my head, you know, so all drunk that day. And she's telling me, and I'm like, bro, could you shut the fuck up? And I was just like, right now you're making excuses. Like, shut the fuck up, dude. No one wants to hear you. And my father-in-law is like, bro, you're an asshole. Like you're drinking, da 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 da. And he's a Marine too. And I'm just like, hey, bro, you're cool, but you're making a lot of fucking excuses, dude. You need to get over it. And it was that same mentality, you know, of what we had back then of how they push you and they get you to be what you need to be. And I literally was telling the story yesterday. It was like, I had one Marine one night that he said full send, you know, they're playing beer pong in a room and I go in there and I was the barracks fucking manager as well because you know how it is. You do good at your job and they give you more shit. So
give you 16 other jobs.
Yeah. So fucking, oh my God, I fucking hated that job. Walking in with the commanding officer and he's like, why is this room like shit, corporal? I'm like, bro, I sit up till 2 a.m. checking all these fucking rooms. Now this motherfucker has pizza boxes. Like I can't control it, you know? So walk in this room, 30 fucking plus Marines playing beer pong. And I knew some shit was going to happen. And they're like, corporal, it's fine. You know, nothing's going to go wrong. I'm like, fuck, man. So go up to the second deck. I hear bottles flying. And I'm all, fuck, man, because that that was one of the reasons why I stopped partying in the barracks was we would have fucking carne asadas and start grilling, put the white sheet on the second deck, third deck, and fucking have UFC fights. But we got that shit shut down because we were fighting. So I heard people throwing bottles, so I go back downstairs, and apparently this dude said Full Send. He was like a Minnesota state champ wrestler for 3 years, and big white dude. He's like 6'4", 240, just shredded, like jacked ass motherfucker, and everybody's scared of this dude. And I was like, "What happened?" He's like, "Well, he said Full Send, flipped the table. This beer went all over this dude Douglas's shirt. Douglas stood up to him. He cracked Douglas." And the dude's married. So I'm like, why is he in the married? Well, apparently he was getting a divorce, and like this came out after, so he was going through his shit. So I come out and he's like, you want to wrestle? And he's fucking charging at me. So I suplex him, fucking throw him down, and he like comes at me again. So I slam his head on the floor, and then I choke him out because they're like, PMO's coming. So choke him out. Then they're like, Havens, we need to get this dude in his room. No one could pick him up. So I pick him up, take him to his room. And then it was funny. It's like I was scared, like, oh fuck, PMO's gonna come to me. So I just went to my room, act like I was sleeping. Like I hit on my wall locker for a little bit, and then fucking Monday morning, homeboy comes to my shop and he's like, hey man, I just want to say thank you for de-escalating that situation. He's like, I didn't mean to flip. Like I'm going through shit, you know. And then we talked about it on that personal level, and I'm like, hey man, I get you. You know, that drink in that bottle doesn't let us be good, you know. And dude started getting straight after that, but it was funny for me because it was like I was drinking too, you know, and I was just like, honestly, I wanted to keep fucking this dude up, but I understood that I needed to handle business in that situation. And then it followed up with it, and the word went up to a sergeant major because we were a squadron level, so a lot smaller, you know. And then of course I was the ops chief before, so I was in those staff meetings, so I had that relationship. And he's fucking laughing at me, and he's like, hey, did you really fucking do that? I had to choke this dude out. I'm like, yes, sir, I wasn't trying to do that. And I'm thinking I'm gonna get in trouble, you know, and I'm thinking like my ass is on the line. And he's like, no, you know what, you showed up, you took care of your Marines, you made sure everybody was okay. We had problems because we kept getting ARIs all the time. So he's like, you made sure that we didn't go on full lockdown again. And I was like, all right, cool. You know, and it was something for me where I was like, I had to work on those things and understand that, hey, everybody's battling their own shit. One thing we do in the military well is masking. It would be an air show. We're drinking from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. the next morning. And really when I got out, you know, you talked about that too, you know, the alignment after the military is like, you have that foundation, but when you're somewhere else, and I'm trying to stop drinking, and here's the word fucking trying, which is some dog shit thing we shouldn't say. And I'm at a mortgage brokerage, and I start seeing these dudes, and they're doing coke on the table, and they're fucking wilding out. And I'm like, fuck, man, here we go again, you know, around people that aren't going to lead me to where I want to be, trying to be a cool fucking guy. And everybody's getting off mommy and daddy's couch. Me and the wife at that time had a second miscarriage. We're about to buy a house. And it was just like, I was getting pissed off once again, where I was like, why am I around these motherfuckers who aren't getting it? And it was all alignment. So when we're talking about alignment, brother, when we're talking about cleaning up the areas of our life, what was it like for you when you started being in alignment with the man you admire and started living that shit after your daughter said, hey, that Fireball is your favorite drink?
Dude, the thing that sucks about when you find your purpose and you find your alignment, you start to hate every fucking body you meet. Like, dude, even my dad the other day was really irritating the fuck. And my dad has brain cancer right now, so like he's going through a lot of stuff. But he has a very old school negative mindset. And I'm moving to Texas, and he had like 50,000 negative things to say. I'm like, Dad, I'm not even trying to fucking talk about this anymore. Like, I'm sick of hearing this, because like, once you actually know, like, it's not where you go, it's who, like, right here is where your happiness comes from. It doesn't matter what other people say about anything. Like, I'm happy wherever I go, but like, I get so irritated hearing other people try to put negativity in my head, because like, why I hate that people do that on a constant basis. So if anyone's getting into personal development and they're trying to be a better person, the thing I tell them all the time is it's about to be one of the loneliest roads you will ever travel on in your entire life, because you haven't proved yourself enough yet to get to the next rank of friends that know that you used to be a piece of shit, but you don't want to be down here with the people you used to kick it with either. So you got to be on your own playing field for a while you're improving your life, to be able to earn the respect to get to the people that actually have the positive mindset 24/7. And it's probably like 6 months worth of loneliness. And if you're not willing to go through that for a while, it'll break you really bad. And even when my wife, like, I started the journey first, and my wife wasn't in the personal development, she was still drinking and shit. like she's never been an alcoholic, but like she would drink with one of her friends. I'm like, you guys are some of the most annoying fucking people I've ever met in my life. Like, because once you've
I love you,
actually
bro.
internalized all that and you don't want it in your life anymore, all it does is irritate you, like to the extreme amounts. Which is crazy because we was there at one point in time and it didn't annoy us. Like I went to it was like a concert outside at the lake and there was a bunch of people drinking and like, dude, everyone just annoyed me. And I'm like, dude, I cannot believe I used to be these people.
100%.
And like I'll do this on purpose so I won't go back and revert back to my old me. I'll go out to eat at like a restaurant that has a pub sometimes and I'll look around. I'm like, I would never want to look like these guys at 40 years old. They look like they're 60, bro.
Bro, I love the way you say that. And it's funny when you talk about the drinking. My wife was the same way. She went in the Navy and she came back from A school and we're fucking going hard. And I used to just be like a fucking asshole. Like once I started transitioning and she's like, what's going on with you? And I'm like, bro, this shit is fucking irritating. Like this dude's fat as fuck. Like literally yesterday I started some shit with my wife on accident. And I was walking at the mall and all the homies were out and this fucking gangbanger was looking at me and I'm like, bro, you got bigger tits than your fucking lady. Like focus on yourself, you know? And I was getting pissed and she's like, here's your ego, like strap it in, you know? And that was something when I stopped drinking, that's what it was. And it was funny because I started noticing those things, you know, getting fucking irritated to me and like being around people. And I literally just had an argument with a family member. They were trying to tell me antidepressants work for them. And I noticed that they gained weight. And I was like, bro, I gained 20 pounds on that shit. And I was having a panic attacks. And they were telling me, you're forcing yourself to feel that way. And I was like, no, fuck you guys. I'm not going to believe this shit. Fuck off, you know? And getting into an engagement where there, and I had to calm myself down and be like, hey, they're not going to fucking get it. The same thing with drinking is like, when you completely change that, like I was that guy that came in and said, what's up, motherfucker, with 2 bottles in my hands and Coronas and Stone Cold Steve Austin fucking beers and going fucking hard. And that was what everybody knew me for and loved me for. And then when I stopped, it was like, hey, bro, you're fucking square. All you're talking about is reading books. All you're talking about is personal development. All you're talking about is this. It brought problems in my marriage because I started getting mad at my wife, being like, hey, why do you hang out with these low vibrational fucks? It's so fucking irritating to be around them. And these girls are talking about fucking Instagram and trying to look good. And I'm like, you're fucking married, dude. Like, strap your fucking head on straight. And it's like the way that we were conveying it. So one thing I applaud you with, bro, and I'll sum it up real quick, is I love that you and your wife, you know, are aligned in post things of working out together, of burpees. And I know something that was something for me is like me and my wife, when we started working out together, things started to change. And it was crazy the other day, actually on Friday, we were talking about the next year. And I was like, hey, would you like to go to live events with me? And she was like, yeah. And I was fucking tripping. Like, there was times where I was like, I want to leave my wife because she's not getting this, you know? And I'm like, I feel fucking insane because it's always me pushing. And it's like, she didn't get it, you know? So she's talking about going to live events. We're talking about getting a travel nanny. And it's like, that was fucking mind blowing to me. So for you guys, brother, what is it like now that you guys are both on that same page? You guys post the workouts together. You have your fitness page and you have your clients and she has her clients and you guys are both promoting the same thing on that same journey now.
I think where most people fail is they won't tell their spouse how they feel. It was like a year ago. So I've always been the one that hustled and grinded and provided for my family, which as a man, that's fine. That's what you should do. But if you're that type of hustler, you need a hustler with you. And like my wife would be like, oh, I'm going to go to school so I can work less hours. I'm like, that's the most backward shit I've ever heard. Well, she just used she just went to school and she got her nursing license. And she was still only making $20 an hour. I'm like, why did you waste 2 years of your life to have the same fucking job you've always had, and all they gave you was $1 raise? I'm like, that was such a waste of your time and energy. I'm like, if you want to actually be in this personal development world and you actually want to tell people they have to go out and chase their dreams, you need to start doing the same shit that you're preaching. And within that same week, bro, she quit her job. She went and got a different job. She went from $20 an hour to $36 an hour. And then she just picks up shifts all the time. And it takes, you have to be able to tell them the reality of the situation, because sometimes people get so comfortable they don't see how much time they're wasting in their life for no, like, what was the point of going to school for 2 years to get $1 an hour raise? You would have got that anyways over time.
Yeah.
And she finally like resonated with it. And especially my business is doing so good now. I'm like, this is what I try to tell her, like, she doesn't even need to do that, but that's just what she loves to do, is like nursing. Is I want to retire when we move to Texas in April, and I want us to do this full time like I retired myself. But the thing about it, like people want to be business owners and they want to change their lives. Unless you actually have a very disciplined, structured life, you're going to fail as a business owner. Like if you can't take your career serious, you'll never take your business serious. Like I see people all the time
Ooh.
that are shitty workers, and they're like, I can't wait to be a business owner. Like, bro, you're going to be broke the rest of your life because you're going to take that same mindset in that 9 to 5 that you suck at, and you're going to suck at your business.
Bro, that resonates with me deeply. So when I got in the podcast game and before I started my own production company, I worked with a podcaster that was a seven-figure entrepreneur, one of the biggest dudes out there, interviewed all the top dogs. And I found that with him, we were cool, but it was more that we were boys than actually partners. And I started being sloppy as well. You know, like he said, oh, I'm going to get a 6-pack after 5.5 years. I'm going to grow out my beard. Homeboy still doesn't have a 6-pack, you know, all love, but I need somebody who's going to put a fucking timeline in that. I started rolling with this dude, Sean Michael Crane, and he's like, nah, motherfucker, what are you going to do? You know, so I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to get a 6-pack by December 31st. And it's like a whole different vibrational feeling working with somebody like that, being more disciplined than ever. And like I said, you know, in January, my wife was going to leave me, and I had the conversation with him, and it was like, hey, this is the most disciplined you're going to be. We're going to fucking put you on a game plan. You're going to be doing this. And if not, and you guys are splitting up, you're going to be doing this. No hooking up with girls, no partying, no drinking, no drugs. And I was just like, fuck yeah. You know, when I started living in it and losing the weight and figuring out, hey, how do I want to live my life? And it was funny because my wife started to see all these little things, and it bettered our relationship. You know, it bettered us. So I love the way that you were saying that, because that was something for me too, you know, where it was like, I would say, you know, I try, I do. And I know a lot of people say, you know, I get to do these things and it's about gratitude, but I realized for me, I had to change that to say the dialogue to say, I do this every single day, despite whatever. I'm disciplined every single day, despite whatever. Like this weekend, drove 4.5 hours to Santa Barbara, went to go get a workout in and over there, ended up doing a hike, did a podcast with a guy, came back home. And the whole time, I literally put a post out today, was fucking McDonald's was off the freeway. And I was like, bro, McDonald's is a fucking smacker now. I can get a Big Mac. I'm going to feel fucking good. And I was like, no, fuck that, dude. Like, I can't eat that shit because one, I don't deserve no fucking cheat meal. And I was like, two, it's not going to fucking help me where I've grinded all this. I've done all this shit today. My body's feeling tired. And then I'm going to fuel myself with some dog shit. So I was like, you know what? I need to fix what I'm going to do and show up in it with the different energy. So I love the way that you said that, brother, because that is something. And it's funny because I get on my wife's ass all the time. And we talked about why we got married, you know, and I was like, I see more potential in yourself than I believe you see in yourself. And now she's starting to see it. And it's funny because I'll say these things and she's like, what, you know, or like she'll take it easy. And now she's becoming that one at work that everybody's going to her for. And they're like, hey, whatever, you know, she was military police, and then she just had a craniotomy, a third fucking brain surgery. So she's at the ID center and she's running that shit. And I'm like, dude, it makes me so fucking proud of you that like I was getting on my wife's ass. Like, you need to try harder. You need to do this. And she's like, you're a fucking asshole. And I'm like, hey, you just didn't marry no square. Like, I'm going to fucking push you harder than anybody's ever pushed you in your life, because that's what I expect, you know, is we expect excellence and being the best that we can be. And one of the ways that you can do that is by elevating yourself and people you surround yourself with, the self-development. So that's what was crazy. You know, like I said, you know, we're talking about the live events, we're talking about self-development. And she's like, oh, I've been doing this. I read this poetry book and it's helped me here. And I'm like, what the fuck? You know, like this is a different person. So it was awesome for me. So when we talk about self-development, we talk about investing in yourself. You're up there with Wes Watson's program, you know, and you invested in yourself to do it. What was it like for you, brother, when you invested in yourself and then you started to see months after of that reward from investing in yourself and pouring all that energy, resources, and time into yourself, brother?
Dude, it completely changed my life. I think the thing that we need to teach most people is to be the most arrogant motherfucker you've ever met. Because, like, dude, I wake up every morning, no shit. And I'm like, there's this song that my buddy made. He's like, I got Mufasa in my chest. You can't tame shit. I'm just like, every day I wake up, I'm like, I'm that motherfucker, bro. And I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I have no filter. I'll say what I want. And we need more of that in society, because everyone's like, you guys need to stay humble. But the humble means like have a low opinion of yourself. You know, never be able to make anything of you if you don't believe in you first. So if you're not willing to invest into yourself, and you're not willing to put the time in for you, life is just like the stock market. If anyone has ever invested, you put money into your 401k, you put whatever into it, and the 401k pays you back in small dividends. Life in the universe is the same way. You have to put X amount of good in until the universe starts paying you back in dividends. Sometimes you have years and years of fucking negativity that you're negative in the universe right now. So you got to keep putting good in, and you're not going to get anything back for a while because you are so negative in your life bank account. You have to work your way back up to a net positive. Just like if you're broke or if you're like in debt, you got to climb yourself out of it. You can't just get into personal development for 2 weeks and expect your whole entire life to change when you put 16 years of bad karma into the world. You've treated people like shit for 16 years straight. You've been fat for 16 years straight. 2 weeks doesn't fix any of that. It's just look at it. If you were in debt by $30,000, you're not getting out of debt in 2 weeks if you owe 30 grand to somebody. It's going to take time, and you have to chip away at that debt until you finally get rid of it. And the universe and personal development is the same way. If you created bad habits for 20 fucking years, you're not getting rid of all of them in 2 weeks. It's not possible. Like, so many people want to just flip the script and try to 360 degree their life or 180 and change it completely around. But you can't do that in day one. Like, you have to start with small incremental steps. Then the universe starts paying you back in little dividends. And then your life gets better, and then sometimes you go backwards and some shit fucks it up, and then you just keep going. Where people mess up is like they hit this roadblock, they go backwards, and then they fall all the way back to the bottom instead. Life is never going to give you exactly what you want. It's going to give you life lessons, especially if you believe in God or the universe. There's times where like you keep telling God you want this, but he's going to test you first. He's going to ask you if you really want it. He's going to give you a life lesson so hard worth learning, and then you see they're going to break you or make you. Most people let it break them.
Oh, bro, you spoke to my soul right there, bro. I took 6 G's out of my 12 G's, my TSP, and invested that into myself. And me and my wife literally got in a fight. And it was like at that moment when we're about to get in this big fight. And I was just like, honestly, I feel held back right now. I'm not pushing myself. I know if I take this money and I invest into this group that's 2 G's a month, I can fucking flip these clients and I can make clients and I can fucking do the shit that I've been saying that I'm going to do. And I know exactly what I'm doing. You know, I failed before because I wasn't disciplined. I failed before because I didn't know what to do. I failed before because I had hesitation. Like, I don't fucking think anymore. I know I'm that motherfucker. When I walk in rooms, motherfuckers know who I am. When I start speaking, people get discouraged because they get pissed off with me. And I was like, I'm just not that fucking guy anymore. Like, I don't fucking play. And I was like, I had a dream my wife was going to leave me. I told God, are you fucking real? He showed me a dream of a violent fucking death. After that, I was like, man, I had 5 good friends that died. 2 other people that were really close to me, my grandfather, my boy's mom that died. And I was just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna get a hand tattoo of a casket because every day I'm doing burpees, I'm doing push-ups, I'm working out. I want to look at that shit and be like, hey, motherfucker, you're gonna die. And no one's gonna fucking remember all the dog shit that you did. And they're not gonna remember any good that you did because you didn't push yourself. So it's like, I did that and everybody was like looking at me like, oh, you're going to disqualify yourself. And I'm like, man, fuck that, dude. I literally, business failed with that partnership. I tried to get a job. And this is the humbling shit that happened to me was this fat fucking interviewer was like, you've had 3 jobs since you got out the Marine Corps. And it looked like 4 because I didn't put on there that it was my business. I put that as my friend's business. So you've had 4 jobs since you got out the Marine Corps, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, man, let me ask you, if your personal life is falling apart, do you think that you would still work 60 to 80 hours at a job that's not aligning to you? No, bro, we had 2 miscarriages. We had this. We had health shit that came in. I fucking was working 18-hour days while going to college. It's not like I was fucking around like all these other kids. And I'm like, so got the degree. And now we want to talk about me because of my loyalty and so forth. And I was like, I don't believe staying with a company that doesn't align with my core values. And number 2, I'm not going to work for somebody I don't respect. Clearly, you can't take care of your fucking self. So why am I going to be here? And I clicked off the Zoom call and I was fucking pissed, you know, and I was like, no, fucking, I go back to my wife. My wife's like, how'd the job interview go? Fuck it. I'd rather be broke and I'd rather have nothing than work for a motherfucker I don't respect and just be pissed off again. Cause I literally worked for a VA claims company and my daughter moved, or excuse me, my nanny moved to Minnesota. I'm holding the daughter, making sales calls. Number dropped for a week. I dropped from number 1 sales rep. After that week, shoots up. They're like, what the fuck happened? Are you making cold calls? I was like, no, I just take care of my clients and they're getting fucked over by the VA. And I'm like, hey, man, you've been fucked over for 40 years. Like, what are we really fucking playing about? You either want to make more money or not. You're talking about your life being hard. This isn't business. This is something that's going to help you with the shit you deserve. Boom, closing people. And everybody was like, what the fuck? You know, they're listening to my calls. And after that, I was like, you know, I'm going to quit this job. Like, if the job can't respect me as a man and understand that I need to take care of my kids. And it literally went into now, you know, take care of the 2-year-old, take care of the 8-month-old while I run the business, while I do podcasts. I literally tell people that because I interviewed John Lee Dumas and he called me out because my daughter was screaming in the background. So I'm like, hey, man, like, this is what I fucking do. This is what I'm about. If you have a problem, you can go fuck yourself because I'm not going to sit here and somebody be upset with me because of the way I run my business and I run my life. Like, my kids are everything. I will be there. I'm a present father. And that is something I struggled with in the past. So for you, brother, you got 3 kids, you got a wife. What is it like being present now, man, and how you're showing up every single day for them?
Bro, if someone ever told me that my kids need to be quiet in the background when I was on a Zoom call, I'd tell them to suck my ass, bro. Like, there's no way. Like, bro, I make YouTube videos. My kids are screaming in the background. I make live Instagrams. Like, my dogs are like in the backyard barking. Like, I'm not going to stop their life because I'm doing something with my business. Now, I think more people should do stuff like that, actually, because it shows that you're a real person. Like, who the fuck has a really quiet, clean, like, if you have kids, your house isn't like 100% clean and perfect all the time. Like, I never understood that about people. They're like, oh, someone's coming over. Let's make our house look like no one lives here. Like, yeah, you should live in a clean environment, but at the same time, if you have kids, like, it's just what kids do, bro. Like, kids are going to be in your life. And if you really want to be present, I do the same thing. My daughter's at the babysitter's today just because we got to wrap a bunch of Christmas presents and stuff. But I have my daughter with me that's not in school yet, with me 24/7 in my videos. She's talking in the background. I don't edit my videos if they interrupt me. I just keep going. I tell them I'll get with them in a second, and then I just keep editing or keep making my videos. People always say kids hold them back, or dude, I hate when people say, well, I can't do this because I have kids. Like, bro, I have 3 kids, 3 dogs, and I do more than 95% of the fucking population. And at one point in time, I'm actually still in school right now because when I was in the corporate world and had a real job, I was really high up in the corporate world. I have my 6 Sigma black belt, project manager, agile, scrum. I'm going to school right now for human resourcing. So I'm doing everything you guys see me do online, plus my 3 kids, plus my wife works thirds, rotating 12. So I'm pretty much a single father until she wakes back up because I get them to bed, and then I also put them on the bus. So I'm doing all this pretty much by myself because my wife's working and sleeping, that's her grind. But like, I don't complain and I just do it. So many people are like, oh, my kids hold me back, or they say they're fat because of their kids, or they say they like all these things. They're just using their kids as scapegoats. And then the biggest phrase I hate that I hear people say, like, I struggle so my kids can struggle too. Like, fuck you, bro. You shouldn't even have had kids. You should give your kids up for adoption. Like, or if you let your kids be fat, you should be charged with fucking child endangerment.
Boom, bro. I feel like you're speaking to my soul. And that was something for me too, is when I really got to those limiting beliefs, my mom was like that. My mom always made those excuses. Oh, I'm a stay-at-home mom. It's this, it's hard. And like, honestly, staying home with the kids, it's been hard as fuck. You know what I mean? Like, me and my wife literally got into it yesterday because I was like, I have to get up at 2 a.m. Like, there is no whatever. She just started leaving at 4:30 to go to work. So I have to get up at 2. And I was like, for me, it fucks my whole day up if I'm not up by the time my wife leaves, because then we didn't talk a little bit. Then I didn't help her out and make her life a little bit easier. Because I remember when I was leaving that early and my shit would be ready, my coffee would be ready, and I'm on the go, I was appreciative of that. So I was like, I know exactly how that feels. I know exactly how it feels to be with the kids all fucking day. They're screaming. You're trying to get shit done. And you mentioned the house thing. That was something me and her used to fight about all the time. And she wanted to come home to a clean house every day. And I'm like, dude, these kids fucking are a disaster. And I'm on a sales call and the kids are screaming in the background and I lose the sales call because of that. And 2, I was like, I'm happy about that because I don't want to work with a client that's not going to respect that. I don't want to work with a client. Like I told him, and I had a client literally at fucking 2 a.m. That was when I used to stay up late. I was fucking sending him, and I sent him back his podcast done. And he's like, what the fuck? You got this done at 2 a.m? I'm like, yeah, man, I don't really sleep. I sleep 3 to 4 hours a day, and I'm cool with that. Honestly, I feel better with less in my life. So that is what I do. Here you go. Here's the final product. He's like, dude, it's amazing. And it was funny because it was just that gratefulness that came from that. And now that I'm getting up early, it's like, I've literally structured it that way. And I'm like, dude, I do what most people won't fucking do. I take care of the kids. Now the 8-month-old wants to play all fucking day long. So I literally, like, by the time they're up at 8, luckily right now, they're waking up 7:30 to 9. It's like I play with them a little bit. And then I have it a couple hours during the day. And then I go back to getting a little bit of work done. And then wife comes home. Now she's coming home about 12:01. So shut that down for a little bit. And then when she's on her phone later, I get a little bit of work done. And it was funny because it's like, if we keep saying that, and I was the same one, bro, that was saying, oh, I can't do this. I'm struggling because of my kids. I'm trying to find the balance. And I just got real with my wife and I was like, I'm going to accept this shit. And I don't give a fuck if anybody doesn't respect it. And fucking Phil Bohold the other day put a Instagram story up, and he was talking about, if you're a parent and you're talking about that your kids hold you back or you get mad at your kids because they're being annoying, like, you're a fucking shit parent. And I was like, you know what? I'm a shit parent, because at times I would get upset about it and be like, fuck, man, it's so stressful right now. Like, no one understands what I'm going through. I'm paying $2,000 a month in this coaching program. I'm not making any fucking money. Me and the wife are still fighting about money. because it's like I stayed home with the kids, and it's like, well, you can't do this because we're paying almost 5 G's for a fucking nanny to take care of the kids. And honestly, it was like, if I'm not making 10, why am I going to be doing anything? So I'd rather focus on my own business. And then I start making money in the business, and it's like a whole different vibrational frequency because I had to level up myself, become a better man. And for me, like, what's funny about the podcast thing is like, honestly, promoting the podcast stuff didn't even work that much. But when I focused on the fitness, and everybody's like, bro, you work out every fucking day. You're posting this on your story every fucking day. Like, how the fuck are you doing? It generated me more leads for my business. And that was something that I just do and love. And what keeps me locked in, I literally go on and I'm like, yeah, I work out every day for my mental health because I go fucking insane. And if not, I want to slap people and I want to start screaming at people and be like, bro, wake the fuck up. You need to push yourself. So it was funny for me because all this work led me into becoming a better man. And I'll wrap it up here with the last question, bro. What would you say to the previous version of yourself? We don't know where to start. We just want to align ourselves with our definition of success.
Phil's my dog, by the way. I just wanted to shout that dude out. But so if you feel motivated to start, this is what I used to do all the time. I would get motivated and I'd be like, oh, I'm going to start tomorrow. Or like you eat like shit on Friday because you're like, oh, I'm going to start Monday. The thing is, fitness, business, careers, relationships are all very emotional state of minds. And if you aren't going to captivate the emotion when it's really deep and then start right then and there, you miss the opportunity. I tell them like I've missed a lot of sales because like I would take a 2-hour long podcast and someone had messaged me like, hey, I need to lose weight. But by the time I got back to them, they would be out of that emotional state of mind, or like they'll fill out my type form. And sometimes I get so busy, I might get to like the 10th person that filled it out like 2 days later. You're going to lose the sale 9 out of 10 times. And it's because life in general is a very emotional state. If you're not captivating the emotion you're in right then and there and actually making the change. So I just tell people, like, if you really want to lose weight and you feel emotional when you listen to stuff like this, is like, go pack your breakfast right now for tomorrow. Because when you wake up tomorrow, that motivation is done for. It's gone. It's been long gone. You'll lose it before you even go to bed that night. Like some people lose it 20 minutes later. We all know someone, they'll have that emotional drunk conversation with somebody like, oh, I'm going to change my life. And then they wake up the next day and then they get fucked up again all day long. Because like they took no action on what they were saying. And the thing is, your subconscious mind knows how many times you've said X, Y, and Z and never did X, Y, and Z. So you're already going to fail in your own head before you ever fail in real life. Because you've told yourself 75 times, I'm going to start tomorrow. And you know deep down inside it's a lie because you're not going to. It's just something you tell yourself to get yourself through that day.
Bro, it's funny as fuck that you're saying that because that's something I go through, and I got extreme OCD from the Marine Corps. So I have to fucking, before I go to sleep, like, I don't care if I lose 30 minutes of sleep, my clothes have to be folded. They have to be displayed for the next morning. I have my gym clothes. I have the clothes after the shower. I have clothes for later on in the day if I do want to change and work out again or do more burpees. And it's like, I operate on that, you know, and it's like that Apollo Creed quote. There is no tomorrow. And that shit literally plays in my head like there is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. Because when I waited, it was that. Me and my wife literally got in an argument one day because we're talking about our parents. And she's like, well, it's not our parents' fault for not knowing. And I go, yeah, it is. And then she's like, why? And I'm like, because if you have the clarity and you understand the problem, then here's the fucking solution. Figure it out. And she just looked at me and I'm like, that's what they wanted us to do. You know, they seen what we're doing and they're like, here's this. I'm like, if they have the clarity, they know what the problem is. You know, you lose fucking weight because you're fat and get to fucking work. Like, what are we sitting here about? What are we still talking about? You know what you need to do. Take action.
I never understood that when people stick up for their parents like that. And they're like, well, they didn't know. Like, how did they not know to be a good parent? You do good things. How did they not know to save money? You spend less money. Like, that's been around since the dawn of time. Like, we need to start holding more people accountable. The thing I hate in society the most, and I know we were going to close this, but I wanted to say this real quick, is I hate how society, I don't understand it. So they say they want to grind so hard they can give their kids everything they want, right? Everyone says that, or like 90% of parents say that. So how come we hate on the kids that have everything they want because their parents actually grinded for them? You're hating on the parents that did the shit that you say you wanted to do, but you don't hold your parents accountable that didn't do the shit that they should have done. You should be mad at your parents for not doing the shit to setting you up to get you the nice car, the nice clothes, and all these things. Because the parents that did that shit for the kids outworked your fucking parents.
Bro, you know what's funny is my whole family hates me for that reason. Because I called them all out. You guys are fat. You guys are lazy. You guys want to have carne asadas and drink beers and fucking tortas and whatever the fuck, right? I'm a prime example of that. I was fat as fuck too. Let's be real. And I had to get real with myself, and that's why I lost the fucking weight. But it went into my dad is like my dad, he didn't make it in the Marine Corps. So that was one chip on my shoulder. Why I became a Marine is like, he's not a fucking Marine to me. I don't tell him happy birthday. I just don't believe in that. Like, to me, it's that. He was abusive, cokehead, always drunk. And that was something for me, always whipped my ass. So I always had that chip on my shoulder. I'm like, fuck that. Even in the Marine Corps, we pull knives on each other at Christmas time. And my family's always like, oh, that's Bryce. And I'm like, that's the fucking problem. Why I don't fuck with this motherfucker? Like, it doesn't matter. He sent me a picture a couple months ago. He was on some shit. So he was all fucking shredded, right? And he's like, well, I'm shredded. And I'm like, well, you're still a piece of shit. You're still cheating on your wife, wilding the fuck out. Like, I don't fuck with that. And I'm not going to have you around me. You're not going to be around my wife. The only time he came around is so me and him can go to fucking Pacific Beach and get faded. Like, I'm not fucking with that. My family's like, you're an asshole. You should forgive your dad. I'm like, I do forgive my dad. I don't accept that shit. And I'm not going to do that because y'all don't know the pain I went through, what I fucking seen, what I repeated. And then for me to condone that shit is just not fucking it. And then my mom, on the other hand, vigilant time. But when I was in the Marine Corps fucking on boot leave, there was a 10-second window. She may have cheated on my stepdad with my wrestling coach because they were in the room talking. And it comes out that 7.5 years later that she's still fucking with this guy. And my stepdad that day pulled the 45, shot within a centimeter of his face. SWAT team goes to the house, ghetto bird, whole 9 yards. Almost got arrested that night. So I was fucking mad. I wanted to end my stepdad's life. I was thinking some violent fucking shit. That's the only reason why me and my dad ever started talking was I was like, hey, man, we may need to roll. And 7.5 years later, find out that she's still fucking with this guy who's not helping her get anywhere. Her, my brother, sister sharing room at grandma's house. And it's fucking embarrassing to me. So I called my mom out. My mom and me were on the phone. She's like, you said this. And I was like, get to work, motherfucker. And I was like, remember as a kid, I used to get in trouble and be like, results, motherfucker. Like, that's why, is because I always knew that this shit isn't for me. I had a bigger vision. Like, I don't understand how we can keep telling each other we're broke and, oh, we can't afford that. Like, I remember in 7th grade, bro, I didn't have $13 to go on a field trip. And I cried in front of the principal. And I was like, you don't call me broke. I'll stand on the fucking corner, bro. You don't fucking know what I'll do. And he's like, no, the school's going to take care of you. I was like, nah, fuck that. I'm not broke. I got him the money. I was like, I'm not going to sit here and fucking label myself as some shit that I am. I know I come from a place where we don't have money, but that's why I move differently than most people. And it was funny because like throughout that whole story, even this couple of things I just told you was like, now people, my whole family don't like me. And I'm like, cool, I'm the one that you don't like because I'm the one that they sent to be fucking different because I realized the shit that we're doing is not fucking acceptable. And that's why we don't have results.
It pisses me off when they're like, oh, well, that's just X. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just Kyle. And I'm telling you motherfuckers, I don't want to be around you. So how come it's okay for him to be just like that, but I can't be just like me and tell you guys I'm not fucking coming around it? It doesn't make any, it doesn't make any, dude, society is so fucking backwards. Like, oh, that's just Bob. Like, okay, fuck Bob. I'm just Kyle and I don't want to be around Bob.
Yeah, bro. I was like, he can eat a dick. And they were like, you can't say that. I was like, I just did. Eat a dick. And they're all
like, why not? I'm just Kyle. Why can't I say it? He can say whatever he wants. Dude, one time I got into it was at my best friend's baby shower. His wife's dad came drunk talking shit to the whole garage. And I'm like, bro, I will fucking beat you up right in front of everybody right now. And everyone's like shocked. I'm like, how come he can get drunk and talk shit to everyone, but I can't tell him to shut the fuck up when I'm the sober one?
Right.
Like, why are you the bad person for holding people accountable? It's like the most backward society I've ever seen in my life. They're like, well, that's just Tom. Let him be Tom. I'm like, fuck Tom and fuck everybody that likes Tom.
Yeah, and that's what's funny, you know what I mean? Like literally me and my wife used to get into that when I stopped drinking was like her family see me as the drinker. So I'd go around and you're boring, da 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 da. And then now her mom was my drinking buddy. And she's like, every time I see her, every fucking time, and it's awesome now better relationship. Hey, did you work out today? Yeah. Hey, how are you doing? I've been seeing your Instagram stories and you talking about whatever. And I'm like, yeah, mom, I've been working my ass off because every fucking thing I do, if you go on my story and you see me call a motherfucker a bitch, it's because I was that man. It's because I did do that thing. It's because I wasn't in alignment. It's because I fucked up so bad my wife was going to leave me and I had to change. So it was funny is like, I explained that to my wife and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know, I'm extremely grateful of your mom because at one point in time, I stopped liking her. Like she just wanted to drink with me and we were done. Like my wife's going away party. I had fucking 4 AMFs with my mother-in-law and I was all, fuck that. Let's do shots here. Let's do shots here. My brother-in-law was being a bitch. I was like, you're a fucking bitch. Here's 2 shots. Like, let's go. And it was funny because I've always been that one pushing. And then now that I've channeled that addiction energy into being addicted to winning, into doing what's important to me and being disciplined, it's like, it's a completely different feel. And now people are starting to see that. So my wife was like, hey, I just want to say thank you, because when you were drinking, you were an asshole. Now you're a different kind of asshole. But it's like people are mad at you because you're more focused on the results and you're more focused on helping people. And I'm like, hey, I'm not, man, like, I'm not going to sit here and have you bitch about something. And for me to that, maybe the first time I'll listen to you, but like you come to me the second time, I'm going to be like, hey, bro, you either fix this, get the fuck out my face. My Marines, I used to do that. Like, you know, you need to get promoted. You know, you have all these ducks you need to do. Get the fuck out of my face if you're not going to do this shit, because I'm not going to have this conversation with you. No one looked out for me, so I'm looking out for you. And one of the things I'm going to say is don't fucking talk to me if you're not going to get your ducks in a row, because you're a reflection of me and I will not look like shit. And everybody's just like, you can't say that. I'm like, I just did.
You can say whatever the fuck you want, bro. I hate when people are like, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. But like, bro, watch me do anything I want to do. Like, dude, people from my city are like, you would never be able to make it because you're too aggressive. Like, okay, now what? You're still at that fucking job making $12 an hour, and I don't have to work anymore. So, I mean, if I would have listened to those motherfuckers, I never would have made it anywhere, bro.
Amen, brother. And where can people find you, man, if they want to keep up with you? They want to hear more of you, brother.
So pretty much 95% of all my content is just on my Instagram. It's Perry's_powerhouse_fitness.
Yes, sir. We'll send everybody your way, brother. Thank you so much. It was awesome. I love the energy, brother. You hyped me up, and I'm glad I got that workout in today because we both bought that heat. So thank you again, brother.
Yeah, bro. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.